Appointment of cabinet will be a big test for government of national unity. As South Africa awaits with bated breath for the announcement of President Cyril Ramaphosa's new cabinet, business leaders have their eyes on key portfolios in the economic cluster. While some are hoping the president will make bold decisions to bring about economic growth, as it stands, the African National Congress has indicated that it wants to retain control of key economic portfolios such as finance, labor, as well as trade and industry. Everest Wealth CEO Theron said Ramaphosa has a great opportunity to steer South Africa's economic in the right direction with the imminent cabinet announcement. The Government of National Unity (GNU) offers the opportunity to embark on a new course. Of the big test will be whether Ramaphosa is going to be prepared to fill important positions with candidates who have the necessary qualification, expertise and experience and can lead the country to accelerated growth and economic recovery. It is expected that Enoch Gondokwana will be retained as finance minister despite earlier discussions about the possibility of a candidate from the private sector. The Democratic Alliance (DA) is likely to receive between 5 and 7 cabinet posts in the Government of National Unity (GNU), and there are talks that ministries such as energy, trade and industry, as well as water and sanitation could be offered to the former opposition party. However, reports suggesting that the GNU could be planning to expand the size of an already bloated cabinet could be seen as a steer in the wrong direction, going against the DA's fight against what is once called a wasteful patronage cabinet. Action SA Parliamentary Caucus leader Ethel Trollip said. The hypocrisy of the possible planned expansion marks what we believe to be the first of many compromises that will feature in the term ahead, undoubtedly undermining public trust and further entrenching a culture of political patronage, Trollip said. There is also concern about the policy differences between the parties and how these could be reconciled, Theron added. State-owner enterprises, affirmative action, privatization and foreign policy are some of the issues on which the parties differ, and if agreement cannot be reached on important issues, this can make the establishment of a stable policy framework difficult. There should be urgent reform to address poverty, unemployment, inequality, crime and corruption, he added. Investors are cautiously optimistic that the new unity government can deliver stable economic policies to revive growth, but the appointment of Ramaphosa's cabinet will be indicative of whether this will be the case. There is now the opportunity to appoint a competent and ethical cabinet that will make policy directions clear and can accelerate projects to carry out economic reforms and to strengthen business and investor confidence, Van Zyl concluded. The GNU will not collapse. Academic believes grand coalition of parties can afford to fail. As South Africa eagerly awaits the announcement of the cabinet in the 7th administration, questions are also being raised as cracks appears to be widening in the Government of National Unity (GNU) led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. In the May 29th general elections, the African National Congress received its worst election result since apartheid ended 30 years ago in South Africa. The ANC garnered 40% of the vote, losing its absolute majority in parliament. IOL reported on Wednesday that Ramaphosa had officially begun his second term after his party formulated a government of national unity incorporating its decades-old rival, the Democratic Alliance, and other parties, including the Inkatha Freedom Party (IFP) and the Patriotic Alliance (PA). However, An ongoing public spate involving the ANC, DA and the PA has triggered concern over the strength of the government of the unity and its longevity. In an interview with broadcaster Newsroom Africa on Saturday morning, UNISA's political sciences professor Dirk Coetzee said the government of national unity, despite the problems being experienced, will continue to stand. No, it will not collapse. I'm quite sure about that. The stakes are simply too high. It is a decision which has been made public to the world, to South Africa. Therefore, there will be so much pressure on the main dealers within this formation, the government of national unity. They do not have a choice. They must make it work. There is no other option. The other option will most possibly be that we have to go back for another election. If the GNU doesn't work, Parliament and the executive will become unworkable, he said. On Thursday, IOA reported that the Inkatha Freedom Party's Velenkosi Hlabisa believed the public spat between ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula and chairperson of the DA's Federal Council, Helen Zille, is merely a case of teething problems. Hlabisa said the party has taken note of ongoing disagreements between Balula and Zille pertaining the Clause 24 of the Government of National Unity Statements of Intent. Ramaphosa faces a delicate balancing act in drawing up his new GNU cabinet. All eyes will be on the President Cyril Ramaphosa when he makes imminent cabinet appointments following consultation with political parties that form part of the Government of National Unity, GNU. Ramaphosa will have a few considerations to make, noting that, unlike in the past, he would not only have to consult the ANC alliance partners, the SSEP and COSATU. Among his considerations will be the size of the incoming cabinet, key ministerial positions to reserve for the ANC, and a number of posts to assign to each of the parties, and the possible inclusion of non-MPs in his new executive. Some parties and interest groups are lobbying him to trim the cabinet. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula told the SABC that Ramaphosa will constitute a cabinet that will be reflective of the GNU principles. There is a principle of prerogative that must not be diluted or undermined, Mbalula said. While Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton Mackenzie showed interest in the ministries of Police and Home Affairs, threatening to walk out if he gets no ministry, DA leader John Steenhuisen said they would like positions where they would best serve in key areas such as infrastructure and economy. However, Mbalula said one of the sticking points was whether they would reconfigure the government. Our plan as the ANC was, we are going to shrink government, we are going to recognize the government as per the conference mandate and the align certain ministries and strengthen them, he said in reference of the NESREC conference resolution to disband the Public Enterprises Department and shift its state-owned entities to respective departments. In 2023, Ramaphosa said in his State of the Nation address that he had instructed the Presidency and National Treasury to work together to rationalize government departments, entities, and programs over the next 3 years. With the arrival of the GNU, we have to strategically look at, do we stay with what we have? Do we expand? Do we have a learner government? How are we going to constitute the government that is reflective of principles that have been embraced so much by political parties in the GNU, said Mbalula. Over and above that, our emphasis is on national interests rather than looking inward, he said. UNISA Political Studies Professor Dirk Coetzee said the ANC would regard certain ministerial positions as non-negotiable, such as finance, international relations and cooperation, public enterprises, and mineral resources and energy. He said Ramaphosa may have to consider the DA preferences and then move to the smaller parties. The smaller parties may be assigned deputy ministerial posts if they don't get full ministerial positions. Whenever the presidents consider a cabinet over the past 30 years, there are no specific guidelines and rules. It very much depends on the president. In the past, he would consult the SSAP and COSATU. This time, they don't have a final say, but they will be involved, he said. However, Kose did not think there would be a reduction in the number of departments in line with ministries, saying it was a massive process that took a long time. The ministries will not be reduced nor increased. Increasing them will prove to be unpopular, but he can't reduce them because it will be difficult to accommodate all the parties in the GNU, he said. Crime expert Kelvin Rafadi said his suggestion to the president was to appoint a police minister who is not from a political party, and he has the power to do that. The reason is to avoid a toe the line of political party in this big portfolio that must ensure the safety of our citizens, more especially the crime is too high and we cannot afford political interference in this space. He can even choose from university researchers who have already done qualitative research studies on crime in our country, Rafadi said. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.